LGD.FY have faltered a little bit with their confidence in that strategy after what happened in the previous game. So we'll see. I'm Baseskip. It's great to be here casting for you guys. This is my last game of coverage for today, so I'm looking forward to this one. Hopefully it's an exciting match. We are going to have the Death Prophet ban. We're going to be seeing something different. Whether or not Vici.J are going to pick something that tries to win the early game, oh, that's another question entirely. This is a patch which does favor a decent amount of turtling. You know, we see Midases. There's people who are defending high ground with Sniper. It's, you know, there's Spectre. There are people are picking strategies and heroes and items that go relatively late because they know that it's difficult for the enemy team to push, especially into the high ground and especially with Shrine. So if you play it right and you don't fight for every building that the enemy team takes and give up additional kills, if you're just off farming somewhere else, you can stay kind of even on farm, and then when the enemy team comes to try and take your high ground, you've got the better high ground, you know, you've got really good high ground defense, and you can stall the game out the way that we saw in the previous game. So that could be what Vici.J are going to be going for again here. They will once again be going for their Warlock pick. I think that's been absolutely instrumental for them in all of their team fighting so far, so not at all surprised to see them prioritizing it as highly as they are. Again, talked about it in some of the drafts to the previous game. VP are another team that really, really love this Warlock pick and just go for it first all the time. The Crystal Maiden does make it through, so LGD.FY may be looking at that in their first phase here. I don't know if they want to pick Magnus. They've had the opportunity to pick the Magnus with the Troll multiple times in this series, and they haven't gone for it, and also can be a little bit difficult to play Magnus against Warlock with the counter initiation, so maybe that's not what we're looking at. They're going to go for the Crystal Maiden, get themselves a little bit more time to think about this next pick, and we'll see what they opt for. In terms of your position for roamers, there's still a couple remaining in the pool. Ricky is still there as one of the premium position 4s, but LGD.FY going to go for the Omni Knight. Alright, so this is something that Vici.J ran in game 1, but it kind of it didn't get rolled over, but the Omni Knight, if you're picking him as an offlane, you're very much doing it to enable another core on your team with the repel, with the heals, keeping them sustained. He doesn't bring that much by himself. If you compare him to, say, an Abaddon, I feel like Abaddon brings more by himself in terms of damage in a team fight compared to Omni. They fill, you know, similar roles, but it's even more important that your Omni Knight is really enabling somebody on your team. So I don't know what we're going to be seeing. Maybe we see something like an Omni OD, which was very, very popular not too long ago. I mean, OD never really wants to buy BKB that much, so throwing repel on him and having the non-stop heals through purification is always great. You know, heroes like OD, Razor, not very popular at the moment, but I think another good example of a hero that really goes well with Omni Knight. He's kind of tanky, but he has really low cooldowns, and as a result, just benefits so much from surviving just that little bit longer in a fight. And that's exactly what repel and purification do for you. It just keeps that hero alive that little bit longer so they can get off a couple more spells, get a couple more kills, play that little bit more aggressively, and that's really what you need, I think, if you're going to pick the Omni. Vici.J going to go for the Rubik, maybe steal some repel action for themselves this game. DDC had some pretty nice plays on the Rubik in the previous game, but I'm not really sold on this hero in general. I think this is a better Rubik game than the previous game was, because Crystal Maiden's ulti is just child's play to steal. And Omni Knight, whenever you steal from him, you're going to be pretty happy with the result. He's similar to someone like Jakiro, or what's another good example? Lina. The only spells that they have are pretty solid. So, you know, it's a consistent steal, and I think there are a couple of ingredients for a really good Rubik game. One, okay, let's say that there's 4 things, but one of them is not necessary. The one that's not necessary is good ultimates to steal. We've already got that covered kind of with the Crystal Maiden. Second thing, you want consistent spells to steal. So whether you're playing against a Wraith King or a Viper or the Omni or any of the other heroes that I mentioned, you've got a hero on the enemy team where you're going to steal from them and you're never going to be unhappy with what you get. And it's always an impactful level 4 ability. The third one is it's really, really nice to have a mobility spell if possible. So Burrow Strike, Shikuchi, Anti-Mage's Blink, that kind of thing. Rubik can generally farm a positioning item, but it takes him a little while, and positioning on Rubik is so important because your lift is instant. If you have a blink into lift, there's almost no counterplay to that on an individual hero level. Sure, you can have a Lincolns or something like that, but even if you've got a BKB, there's really no way that you're getting that off. And there was one more, but I don't remember what I don't remember what I was gonna say. So there you go. No, it's probably something about your lanes and not needing very strong lanes because Rubik is not the strongest laner in the world. But to me, those are those are kind of the big three. And the consistent steals and the mobility spells are very, very important. Vici.J gonna go for Nabaddon against this Bounty Hunter. We're gonna dispel some tracks. Oh, this is looking. This could get really tough for LGD.FY. They have to win the early game. Like, have to. And I don't even know how they do it, because I don't think they can zone this Abaddon. Like, you frostbite him and he shields it off. So you get 1 tick of damage. And then he's got the Warlock sitting behind him, so he's pumping heals. And then all of a sudden the Bounty Hunter maybe feels like he has to spend some time up top, even though he can't really do anything up there. Maybe he can put pressure on with the Omni Knight, but they've already picked these 2 heroes, so Vici.J still have the opportunity to pick up a relatively strong safe lane hero that's not going to feel too pressured against the double melee Omni Knight plus the Bounty Hunter. And if they lose the early game, all 3 of the heroes that they have picked so far do nothing. They do pretty much nothing. Bounty Hunter needs a little bit of a start to really get going, get your level 6, start moving around, get some track kills, snowball with your team. But if your team is behind, there is no snowball. There's no core. You can't get it rolling. And it's the same with the Omni Knight. You need somebody else. You need a decent amount of levels. You need at least probably 1 item. And then you need somebody on your team who's actually doing well enough for it to matter that you're going to repel them. All right, so I like this. They get the Ember Spirit. They get some early game fight. They've picked it in a situation where it could still get pretty heavily counterpicked, however. So that's the scary thing. What do you do if Vici.J put an Ursa mid or something like that? Just one of the... Oh, the Ursa's already banned. Never mind. All right. They've set up for their Ember Spirit a little bit. I didn't see the Ursa ban. But what do you do if the Ember laning matchup is just impossible? Shadow Fiend is definitely a doable matchup for Ember, especially with a little bit of Bounty Hunter support. So I guess that's what they're aiming for here. I would not be at all surprised to see FY escorting the Courier this game just to make sure that it doesn't get sniped, because the Bounty Hunter can put on a little bit of pressure, but I feel like the Shadow Fiend can just kind of sit on his hill in mid lane and just never play forward, and then just never really be in that much trouble. Level 1 might be tough. That could be the one of the spots where they get him. I think it could even be good if the Crystal Maiden ganked mid at level 1. Because they can kill him for sure. Orb of Venom on the Bounty Hunter, either the Flame Guard or the chains from the Ember Spirit, throw a Frostbite at him, Shadow Fiend dies for sure. So Vici.J probably going to be spending a bit of time around mid lane with one of their supports, just trying to scout things out, try and keep a sentry down there. But this still plays into the I'm extremely worried for LGD.FY if this Vici Gaming 5-man death push gets going, because they take buildings crazy fast. They've got the Abaddon debuff, Shadow Fiend does good right-click damage, whoever they pick in the safe lane is probably going to augment that even more. I was about to mention the Vengeful Spirit, but it's been banned. So, alright, we're not going to see the Vengeful Spirit plus Shadow Fiend combo this game. Not a huge deal. I think Vici.J still have some decent options. Trolls being removed. What else could they go for here? Wraith King, maybe? I don't know how good that hero is. It feels like an okay Wraith King. And again, this is similar to how I was talking about Sven in one of the earlier drafts. That, like, Sven, you think that he seems good, but then just sort of underwhelms a lot of the time. But anyway. Alright, it's going to be Terrorblade. They have Tower Push 4 days. They have some team fight from the Warlock. I think the Abaddon contributing as well, not to mention the Shadow Fiend with the Requiem. You throw out a Fatal Bonds, you drop a Requiem, all of a sudden lots of people are pretty dead, unless you've got the repel on you. The Terrorblade does need to be a little bit afraid of the Ember Spirit potentially bursting him this game, but they just take buildings so early, and LGD.FY pick Phantom Lancer? What is that hero gonna do? Is he gonna buy an Ags? What's the plan here? I mean, PL can kind of fight early. You buy a Diffusal and an Aquila, and you run into the fight, and then what? And then a Requiem goes off? And I don't see it. I really don't see it. It's not bad with the Crystal Maiden. I mean, there's going to be Lance spam for sure. And they could, if they don't lose the early game too hard, get to the point where they're able to split push somewhat with the PL. The catch is pretty bad on the VG.J side, admittedly. You know, it's mostly Rubik for catch. They don't have RTK on a hero that can run around and really put a lot of pressure on the split pushing Ember Spirit and the Phantom Lancer. So if they come out of the early game in a decent position, I think they're okay. But they just don't take buildings at all until the Phantom Lancer these days doesn't even hit buildings anymore. So I don't know. I'm just picturing LGD.FY being down like 4 towers before 15 minutes and then just not being able to ever take a team fight. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like they've played really, really well so far in this series, and I hope that last game hasn't rattled them too much, but this Phantom Lancer pick is just weird. I mean, are there better... Could they have picked a better split-pushing safe laner if they wanted somebody who could fight early as well? Maybe not. Maybe the PL is the best pick if you want to play the game that way, but... I just don't know how they kill anybody. Like... I feel like Vici just stand on top of each other. There isn't even really any AoE to punish them either, right? It's like just the Ember's damage. So you all just stand on top of each other, and then SF channels Requiem, and you throw a Chaotic Offering, and you win the fight, no problem? I don't know. Maybe I have the incorrect read on this, and maybe LGD.FY's lineup is going to get some amazing rotations with the Bounty Hunter early on. They're going to shut down the SF. They'll get the movements that they need. Phantom Lancer will start metastasizing. And they'll get this non-stop split push going with the Ember and the PL, which Vici.J won't ever be able to deal with. All right, let's get this out of our systems, guys. Yep, nice. All right, so let's do some introductions. Over on Vici.J, we have Aggressive. On Terrorblade, we have Fenrir for the 3rd game in a row playing some Warlock. FY is going to be on Rubik. All right, so we get some FY Rubik to watch out for in this game. It's going to be Freeze on the Shadow Fiend and RTK on the Abaddon. Meanwhile, over on the other side, we have Inflame on Omni Knight. That's Super heading towards mid as Ember. Afu, formerly of WG Unity, is going to be on Bounty Hunter. DDC is on Crystal Maiden. And Monet is on the Phantom Lancer. I think I got all of those. Anyway, no early shenanigans here. Looks like it's going to be 2 bounty runes apiece. Couple of early Radiant Observer Wards planted down. I think all of the Observer is actually still in inventories for Vici.J right now. And Shadow Fiend not being given a sentry just yet. FY is going to be playing Courier. Going to deliver the salve to his Shadow Fiend, but Bounty Hunter actually deciding to head up towards top early on. Looks like he is just going to be blocking out this small camp as his first move of the game. No. Ember getting auto-attacked a little bit. They are trying to set up this Shadow Fiend's early CS so that he can get a little bit of a damage lead here. Nice little aggro trick there from Freeze. Pull the creep towards himself and make it much more difficult for the Ember to get a deny, but Ember does already have a poor man's shield and a Quelling Blade, so his damage is actually pretty ridiculous. Though SF has a slight lead right now. TV already popping the meta, just kind of scaring back the Omni Knight as they do manage to get this side pull. Inflame going to try and steal it away from them. He leveled up the Degen Aura at level 1 here, but still manages to drag this creep wave around a little bit. Why? He is punching on right now. What's he trying to do here? Trying to get this range creep tonight, maybe? Looks like he just kind of... Did he just let the Equilibrium go? Why didn't he just drag it back to the tower? And then the Equilibrium would be here. Instead it's here because he just ran it around in circles. I'm very confused. Was he trying to threaten that the Bounty Hunter was there? Is he dead? No, he's got a Tanger running. Alright, I guess he's alive. Nope, is he going to get Fade Bolted? Nope, no Fade Bolt. This Shadow Word almost killed him. And he didn't even mess up the lane equilibrium that bad. I think Aggressive still has it exactly where he wants it. So, not enough accomplished. Rubik's gonna steal the bounty rune here. Already has some boots, so difficult to chase him down. Alright, this early game's not looking good. It's really not looking good. The Abaddon's just running at bottom lane. Nobody's stopping him. Invis rune for the Rubik. There's going to be a sentry ward drop down, but Searing Chains not going to catch him. Shadow Fiend still farming A-OK mid lane, keeping things nice and even with the Ember Spirit with no interference from the Bounty Hunter. Did miss a CS for that little bit of extra harassment, but does force out the salve from Super. And Rubik, well, hoping to maybe randomly clip somebody over here. Inflame needs to be careful. He does have the Purification ready to go, but he is not a healthy man. And there is a Fatal Bonds and a nuke also ready. Terrorblade running over. Metamorphosis in a couple of seconds. Gonna pop that one out, and it looks like Omni Knight is pretty dead. Body blocks from FY just to make sure of it, but he's gonna turn around and grab the first blood for himself. And Vici.J getting off to a very good start. They're not doing anything about this Abaddon. If he just buys a TP scroll, can he die? I mean, so long as Bounty is still level 1. They could Frostbite him, but he'll just be fine, right? I mean, what? Frostbite, and then he shields, and then he TPs. He still got his Shrine active as well. Radiant did manage to hold off using their Shrine. Not so. Omni Knight somehow manages to get a deny on the range group there. Still throwing out the question mark, but... Alright, Bounty Hunter is trying to play at being a zoning support. He can't really do anything top. I guess he feels at this point he can't really do anything mid. And even if he could do something mid, his impact would be limited because Shadow Fiend's about to head into the jungle before too long and just start alternating between jungle and the lane. So he's never really going to be that exposed. This Bounty Hunter pick is just looking like it's going to do nothing. It's actually FY who is the Bounty Hunter here. That's his second stolen bounty rune from the Dire side. Omni Knight trying to get in here and interrupt the pulls a little bit, but Fenrir is still getting some really nice levels going. 2-man rotation making its way over towards mid lane. DDC has decided to go for the point in the Crystal Nova. So they're going to look for this Shadow Fiend kill, but he's already got a raindrop up. He's still got his Fairy Fire ready to go as well. And actually just delaying the bottle, but seemingly not suffering that badly on the mana situation. Still has the Shrine. I don't know, is he just not been raising that much? Either way, he's still farming just fine. Alright, they're smoking. Heading up. Terrorblade already heading into the jungle. Gonna give the lane over to Fenrir, avoiding the somewhat awkward situation that they had in the previous game where they got the level 6 reasonably late. Alright, so it looks like Fenrir might die here. Yeah, alright, Fenrir's dead. Should have probably cast the Fatal Bonds, but not a big deal. Oh, the draft overlay. Whoops. Uh-oh. Oh, man. I messed up. That's 5 minutes of draft overlay. Sorry about that, guys. I spaced. I can't bear to look at the chat. My apologies. It'll be fixed after 5 minutes, which is the stream delay. Sorry about that. Well, it's fixed for you now. Whatever. It's confusing. Do not deserve this. But nobody could message me about it for 5 minutes because yeah, you guys have only just caught up to getting in. Anyway, farm's still looking really good for Vici.J. Pulling ahead. Yep, everyone's messaging me that the overlay is still on. I know, guys.
This'll come in handy.
Alright, Terrorblade's still just jungling. Afu managing to steal a little bit of experience here, which is definitely nice. Needs to be careful. There's a sentry ward here, and they're just going to spot him. Gets auto-attacked once. Alright, knows that he just has to run away. Sentry ward up on the high ground, but the Bounty Hunter's Observer ward is actually all the way over here. Ember very low, forced all the way back to the Back to his base, just going to shrine up a little bit. Abaddon still doing very nicely for himself. Phantom Lancer just going to be going for an Aquila, it looks like. I'm still really curious of what his build is going to be. He's just getting pressured by this Abaddon. He's only 7 CS ahead of the Abaddon at the moment. Mass TPs down bottom. They really want this kill. This is a pretty big deal for the Ember Spirit to be making this rotation. Level 6 is available for the Abaddon, but hasn't skilled it up just yet. Yep. Alright, gonna pop the ulti. Are they holding a stun? Yes, they are. They're holding 2 stuns. We'll get ahead of him now. Manages to dispel the first root, but the second root comes in. No miscoil to deny himself. Omni-Knight putting on pressure on the other side of the map. He does need to be a little bit careful. He's diving in pretty deep here. He's gonna get lifted back into the tower, perhaps? No. Alright. FY still holding onto the lift. I guess if he lifts him, then he might just TP out. I guess that's the thought process here. But either way, not gonna get the kill. Just saving mana at the end of the day.
No sorceries avail.
Omni in some trouble. He's got nothing left. Repel wears off. He gets lifted, and he will get bolted down. Arcane Boots picked up for FY now. And laning stage already starting to break down. Though, I guess, what? LFY kind of keeping themselves in it. Ember Spirit looks like he's going to be going for some Boots of Travel, more than likely. The PL build has to be the savior here, somehow. Gotta get some early fight, and then transition straight into pretty hard split push. Metamorphosis going to be taking out this tier 1 tower up top. I'm not quite on track for my losing 4 towers in 15 minutes prediction, but we'll see. I think the pace is going to pick up. Meta still doing some good work. TB in trouble, does not have the Sunder available, and may have actually just lingered a little bit too long. 4-man rotation comes up. Ember's going to be looking for more. Managed to get the chains over onto the Rubik. Can't steal anything right now. Just going to throw him back. But the dive will continue. FY trying to stay just ahead of it, but the Spirit Lance is going to finish him off. Abaddon nowhere to be found, as they do end up losing 2. But at the same time, Shadow Fiend going to use that space to take out the tier 1 tower on the mid lane. And we once again come back to this question of how do LFY hit buildings? And they do have an Aquila, but you see Rubik TPing in here. I guess he decides against it in the end. There are 3 cores up here, but yeah, they still just really do not push buildings. Well, if they do it very slowly.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
DDC just going to be TPing himself back to the tier 2. Looks like they're going to get the tier 1 in the end, but not without it costing them a tier 1 at bottom. They have a glyph, they do. They're going to glyph it up. Should just set up Shadow Fiend to get the last hit. That's going to get him a little bit closer to his Dragon Lance. BDC manages to find himself a haste rune, scooting away. As Terrorblade also just going to be going for a Dragon Lance right now. Omni-Knight is just working on a drum. I mean, it's a good early fighting item. Helps to rush his 2 Boots of Travel buyers into the fight. Actually, Ember going to be going for a Veil here. Haven't seen this item on Ember for a little bit, but I think definitely good this game. They have plenty of magical damage to utilize it. So Phantom Lancer farming in a pretty dangerous position. They get the immediate lift on the real PL, and that is just an easy kill with some raises. I don't know how he picked out the real one so easily, but just FY things. And alright, looks like that's going to set up for this top tier 1 tower push. Omni grabbing a little bit of farm off to the side. Shrine's ready to go. Are they going to fight this? Can they fight the Chaotic Offering? I don't even know. Alright, that's 3 towers down in 12 minutes. Are they going to keep going? Maybe. They're already picking up a medallion on the Warlock, so that's going to pave the way for Roshan potentially as well. Abaddon's just going for a Vlad's. Bounty Hunter does have his level 6, so a bad fight here could swing the game very, very heavily back the opposite direction with some tracks. They've got the damage from the Ember, but he needs to be doing all of the heavy lifting in this fight. He's going to be TPing back over, but they're already in siege positions here for Vici.J. Purification going to be stolen. They've got plenty of sustain, and Phantom Lancer already losing some life. Heals and shields onto the Terrorblade for days. Can they really do anything to stop him? They've managed to find the Bounty Hunter on the back lines. He slows them up a little bit, but Vici.J just playing as a unit. There's no split push pressure being applied right now, so they should feel pretty confident to just sit around here. Purification going to top off the TB. He's still got the Sunder ready to go. And LFY just helplessly staring as they watch their tower drop. They are going to drop the rock on top of the Ember Spirit. Can he get himself away? Does manage to get over to the Bounty Rune. They pop the ultimate from the Omni Knight as well, just retreating, spamming spells. Freezing Field from the Crystal Maiden gets cancelled almost immediately in Ember. He's now out of Remnants, finds himself in the middle of the Vici.J team. They only got the kill on the Rubik as Phantom Lancer struggles to accomplish anything. Just throwing out lances. That's all he could do. They don't have any AoE to punish Vici.J for standing on top of each other, so that's just what they're gonna do. I mean, look at this. There's absolutely no threat to their positioning. Afu gonna be a bit of a nuisance and throw out one last Janata strike, but all right. There you go. 4 towers down, sub 15 minutes. Roshan probably next up. They're now down by almost 5k, what, 4.6k gold. Only 1500 experience because both teams have been deathballing, but there isn't an immediate item on the horizon that fixes anything for LFY. Like, Boots of Travel on Phantom Lancer wouldn't matter. Diffusal Blade maybe a little bit more helpful. The Veil is already a pretty big power spike for Ember, and his next power spike isn't for a while. Maelstrom maybe, Blink Dagger. Boots of Travel is it's a farming item, but it's not really going to help them stop this 5-man. Vici.J just not going to let themselves get picked off. They do show the Abaddon over on the mid lane. Rubik going to take some damage here. Looks like he might get bursted down. Can they catch anybody? Nope. Alright. Nice freebie on the Rubik there. Did they get the track off? Yes. Right, that's a pretty sweet kill, actually. 710 gold just for the Rubik grab. Oh, Nafu's still chasing. Still being a nuisance. Ember's coming in now with a haste. Does need to be a little bit careful about decisions that he makes here, but he forced the Metamorphosis. That is a big deal. PL, meanwhile, split pushing top. Abaddon has his Vlads completed now. I think this is a very easy Roshan for them if they want to try and take it, but maybe not with the Chaotic Offering on cooldown.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Alright, so what are the positives here? Abaddon is super useless without mana, so the Phantom Lancer is pretty annoying for him to deal with this game. They still have some buildings alive. The PL is going to get stronger with his Diffusal. What's Ember going for? Yeah, he's just going for BOTs. Alright, so the split push is starting to settle in, but just neither of these heroes hit buildings particularly well, which is the big problem here. Vici.J have a ton of time to respond to any of these pushes because they're just not really under that much threat. What's Bounty Hunter going for? He has picked up a Medallion. He's going to be going for Solar Crest, Crystal Maiden. Not really a whole lot of farm to speak of. She is doing all the warding this game. As Omni Knight's just going to be going back for a Radiance. I mean, there is a lot of right-click damage on the Vici.J side, so I think this makes sense. It is going to take him a while to farm, though. If they can get there, if they can get to the mid to late game where they threaten buildings and they're split pushing and they're abusing the fact that Vici.J have no catch, then I think they're looking good. But there's going to be a couple of Aegis pushes, and I think those are going to be very difficult to withstand. TB just working on his Manta style right now. We've got Shadow Fiend working his way towards a BKB, not too far away from that. Didn't even go for the bottle at all this game, interestingly enough. Or at least not from what I saw. I think I'd be very surprised if he'd sold it already. But I guess just being a little bit more conservative with the raise, and works out just fine. Already has the second point up in the Requiem. What else is happening? Alright, Ember's got his Boots of Travel picked up. Split push ramping up just that little bit more. Afu continuing to do some scouting, get some more relatively deep observer wards down so that they continue trying to set up for these random pickoffs. Does not want to mess with FY since he does have a Dust close at hand. Is he going to get the courier snipe? Oh, he sees it. It's pretty slow. Oh, one more touch. Burst. Oh, Afu. Can he get out of here? That's the question. FY's on the intercept path. The Dust is in range. Finds him. There's the lift. And everybody else is converging to kill him off. Did he steal anything? Alright. Remembers to at the last moment. I guess was maybe hoping that he would throw out a track before he died. But no. Just ends up being a pickoff. Created damage on the tier 1 tower, but Ember will once again be forced back. Abaddon, I wonder what his item's going to be here. He's actually got a ton of options. Radiance has been very popular. I mean, something like a Radiance Blade Mail Octarine is not out of the question. What talents is he being going for? That might tell a little bit of the story. Alright, going for the EXP gain. I feel like he can just buy utility items, really. He's got more than enough damage between the Shadow Fiend and the Terrorblade. He just needs to make sure that they can do what they want to do. Omni Knight is running right on by this Roshan. No big cooldowns used to grab this one, so the siege engine of the Shadow Fiend is going to pick himself up in Aegis of the Immortal. Rubik is invis. Tracking the Omni Knight. He needs to get to the side shop to buy a TP. He buys it now. Phase booting around. Nobody's coming to help FY, however, so he's actually just gonna keep tabs on him for the time being. Similar story for Afu, just looking over the Terrorblade. How close is TB to his Manta style? Let's see. Is there something on the courier? No? Alright. A little bit behind the SF right now, I suppose. CM just gonna pick the damage, has grabbed an urn, nothing too shocking there. And what's Phantom Lancer got? Alright, he's got his defusal, Boots of Travel coming up next. They really got to get through these tier 1 towers so that the split push is actually impactful, but Vici.J continuing to do a good job of holding on to them. Afu still just hoping for the courier snipe. He's just a ward and a courier snipe bot. That's seems to be it right now. As Vici.J, after pushing bottom, everybody can converge over towards the mid lane. Terrorblade and Abaddon already there, taking out this tier 2 absolutely for free. And LFY is still looking like they don't really feel as though they can take a fight, but they might be forced to. They do have a glyph. They've got a little bit of spam to help defend. The tracks are going to start coming in, but they've got the sustain from the Shadow Word already maxed out. I think the right decision from Fenrir here. They got some shields. They got more heals. They got the Vlads to keep everybody topped off, and this tier 3 is dropping. Glyph's already been used. They're going to go in looking to put some damage down onto the Abaddon, but he gets healed up courtesy of his ultimate. They're backing out. They do have the track move speed to be able to chase, but they're just playing as this ball and can't really get in and burst anybody down. Fenrir ready to drop the rock at a moment's notice. Triple Remnant comes forward. They're going to drop the rock on top of that. The Sunder as well. Ember Spirit drops low extremely quickly. They will end up losing the Abaddon on the back line, so the poking and prodding is starting to work its magic. SF going to lose his first life in a second. Did have 17 wand charges, so staying alive for a little bit longer threatens the Requiem. Not going to get it out, as they will press forward with super on the Ember Spirit, just holding the high ground for the time being. The BKB is ready to go. They've surrounded the Shadow Fiend, but he's back up. FY in some trouble, but they've managed to get the root over onto the Phantom Lancer. He jumps a little bit further away and will actually be able to escape. The track move speed being extremely helpful in kiting out the Vici.J side, and they will be forced back without taking the tier 3. Okay. Maybe this is starting to look a little bit scary for them. Net worth advantage getting chewed away at a little bit. Ember starting to get some more items up, 2.6k gold already, so Maelstrom looking very achievable at this point. Phantom Lancer now with this little bit of extra room down here after taking out the tier 1 bottom has been able to start setting up the split push. Abaddon grabbing a Perseverance, looks like he is just going to be going for, what, just going for a Lotus Orb? Just throw everything on Shadow Fiend and hope that he can siege the building. I guess that's probably the plan. We do have a Solar Crest up on the Warlock as well, to that effect. Oh. Alright, slight chains. Not going to end up connecting.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Looks like Shadow Fiend just going to be going for the Butterfly Satanic build probably this game. Arcane Ring going to be swiped out from Terrorblade's nose. Swiped out from under Terrorblade's nose. I don't even know if Terrorblade has a nose. And Abaddon actually going to be going for a hood here. How many pairs of Arcane Boots do they have? I think it's just the one on the Rubik, which is actually a little bit concerning against the Mana Burn from the Phantom Lancer, who is now going to be going for an Aghanim Scepter. I believe it jumps to all of the TB illusions as well, so it should be pretty sweet at clearing those out. Summon up a little army very, very quickly. And I think it also helps when you're playing against a hero like the Shadow Fiend, who can clear your illusions in kind of one go, and then you just throw out another lance and away you go. So alright, this is scary, but this high ground push is also scary. 15 seconds to go. Big swarm of Terrorblade illusions chipping at the tier 3. Shadow Fiend also on the front lines. Tier 3 dead. Metamorphosis still a decent duration to go. Fenrir getting scouted on the back lines as Afu is just pincering so far this fight. They are going to get some good damage onto the PL. Ember doing what he can, but the siege continues. BKB still available. More heals on the Shadow Fiend. Afu just going to continue tracking everybody up, but he does get lifted. Shadow Fiend forced in, forced out. Can they kill this bounty? They'd like to, but the Solar Crest is helping to keep him alive a little bit longer. One more auto attack's going to do it, but they've split up this fight pretty badly, and Warlock losing the mana necessary to get his ultimate off. That is a big loss. Fenrir not able to get anything done this fight, and they've got the freezing field from the high ground as well. Shadow Fiend going to pop the BKB, lets the Requiem go. Looks like that BKB is going to be enough for him to finish off the melee barracks and then saunter his way out, but they have to continue pursuit here. LFY need to pick up some kills. They need these to be track kills as well, ideally, but Bounty Hunter still in the hole for 5 seconds. He will be able to TP over onto the shrine. The chase continues from the Phantom Lancer. Purification stolen. FY helping to keep the Shadow Fiend alive a little bit longer. Abaddon doing his best as well, but Shadow Fiend is now down. They're going to try for the TP out on the Rubik, but he's dead, and Abaddon with the ultimate already being popped. Looks like he will also be finished off. Can they save this for a track kill? Looks like Afu not able to get in range in time, but we have swung all the way back the opposite direction. And LFY now forcing into this tier 1 tower. Glyph is going to be used, but should even be able to segue this into a tier 2 push here on the mid lane. Do have the Maelstrom up for the Ember now. Going to be going for a Lincoln Sphere, looks like, to help deal with the Lift, which is kind of the only reliable lockdown, and the Sunder. And they're pushing. Oh, Omninet didn't decide to go for the Radiance in the end. Actually decided to grab a pipe, which I quite like. Are they going to drop the rock here? 5 seconds to go. Terrorblade on the front lines. Does need to be a little bit careful. Gets rooted up. Pops the Manta Style. Tier 2, still pretty healthy. Unfortunately, that... Man, both sides have... I guess Vici.J actually just have much worse catch. They have pretty much no catch. Their catch is the kind of catch where you run up to the buildings and you hit the buildings, but they do not have very... Well, they have almost no disengage, which is the big problem when they're retreating from these fights. Might not matter so much if they get the Mega Creeps, but we'll have to see. PL still 1k gold away from his Aghanim Scepter, but it's looking like it is going to be coming up at least before this game ends. Shadow Fiend going to be going for an AC. Looks like the call from Vici.J is just to play the objectives. They really need to try and keep Fenrir alive if they can, or at least keep his mana pool healthy. Getting mana burned out in that last fight was devastating. Alright, tier 2 for free. Roshan not up for at least another 20 seconds or so. Interestingly enough, Vici.J not going to go and take the shrine. They're just going to try and force their way up here, it looks like. There is some split push happening on the mid lane. Super dealing with the wave. Working on the tier 2. Alright, looks like they are actually going to TP back the Abaddon. Yep, just like no catch, so nice deny, but Super still making space. Meantime, trying to take some damage. Abaddon's not too far away. A couple of tracks thrown out, but not really that scary. Still a little bit of a net worth lead for Vici.J, but they're falling behind in terms of the experience as Ember continues to get bigger and bigger. Same story for PL, now a mere 150 gold away from the Ags. And Omni Knight working his way in towards yet another Lincoln Sphere, just going to make life as difficult as they possibly can for the Terrorblade. If they throw multiple Lincolns and the Repel on Ember, I don't even know if he can die. I don't even know if that's a possibility. He does miss the tower last hit. Is FY getting close to a blink? Alright, he does actually have a blink. He's also playing Courier for this Diffusal Blade. It's not his Diffusal Blade. I believe that one actually belongs to the Terrorblade. I wonder if TB's going to go for a BKB here. Or maybe he just continues statting up and going for the Scotty. Speaking of... Oh, we don't have... I was about to say speaking of stats, but Shadow Fiend not opting for the Butterfly in the end. As we saw earlier, he is going for the AC right now. Crystal Maiden actually almost has a Blink Dagger. So the supports are getting up some decent farm on the LFY side. Bounty Hunter also very slowly jungling his way towards a Vlad's, so just going to be carrying up some auras for the team. It's a super late Roshan respawn, unfortunately for Vici.J. Good news for LFY fans is that we'll give them some more time to get these lanes split pushed out, some more time to farm. And yeah, there you go, the PL Ags is up. He's really starting to get a bit of a rhythm going in terms of the split push, takes out the tier 2. And with that, we're now even in terms of towers other than this tier 3 taken out on the mid lane. Is my game gonna crash when TB presses Reflection against the Phantom Lancer? I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to, if it's gonna cope. I guess we'll see. It's already laggy enough. That many illusions and illusions of illusions might be too much to handle. We thought Spectre ulti and Monkey King ulti were bad. We haven't seen anything yet. Abaddon almost has the Lotus. Just again, more items to throw on the Shadow Fiend and hope that he can muscle through the fight. Omni still a little bit away from his Lincolns, but Vici.J, this is not good. They are slowly but surely getting pushed back over onto their side of the map. Some of this is because they want to back up and use the narrower part of the map to push out all 3 lanes and then probably go for a smoke, but the PL is constantly threatening top. The Ember's constantly threatening bottom. It looks like they're just instead going to force the smoke to head on over into the Roshan pit. Solar Crest, along with the Abaddon passive, going to make pretty quick work of this, even without the Metamorphosis. Phantom Lancer waiting up on the high ground. These illusion swarms are going to be the end of my computer. Alright. Bit of chip damage on bottom, and when I say a bit, I mean a very small bit. Off, we're just doing some more scouting. Needs to be careful about throwing out a track because FY could blink on top of him, throw down a Sentry Ward, lift him, steal the track, track him, and then things get messy from there. So he needs to stay alive to keep on scouting for his team. DDC even getting involved a little bit here with the split push. Does have his Blink Dagger ready to go. Just gonna try and stall out this Aegis if they can. They've spotted the Terrorblade a little bit further down in the river. He'll be able to Manta his way out of that initial chains. Getting nuked after by the Phantom Lancer. Is Ember just gonna continue this holding pattern down at bottom? Alright, can Vici get to the enemy base again? Let's see. This PL Ags might be a bit tough to push through. Terrorblade is just going to be going for a Scotty. Meanwhile, Crystal Maiden is cutting waves top. Shadow Fiend is running down the Ember bottom. They definitely need some boots of travel somewhere in their lineup to be able to kind of deal with this. I think anyone on their team could buy BOTs and kind of hold it off. Maybe not the Warlock, but that's definitely going to be a very important part of dealing with the split push. Having somebody who can hold the base and then TP to the team when required. Metamorphosis is going to get popped. Terrorblade looking to commit. Phantom Lancer runs forward. We got the Ags bouncing around, clearing out those illusions pretty much instantly, and Terrorblade losing life very, very quickly. As expected, the Reflection is going to just lag the crap out of my game. As now the spam begins, and it has no end. Non-stop Sleight of Fist Searing Chains, non-stop Spirit Lance. How does the high ground happen here? It happens with extreme difficulty. Shadow Fiend gonna get rooted, getting chipped away at. They do manage to heal up bit by bit, but the damage is still being done. The mana pool is being reduced, and actually all 3 cores on the Vici.J side losing mana at a very rapid clip. Fenrir at least managing to hang a little bit further back and keep his mana pool intact. But that's a successful hold. I don't see what changes that that recipe for LFY. Well, maybe if they fight outside of the base, that could be bad. They're smoking up. They're looking for something, but Shadow Fiend is not the hero that they want. VG.J are actually split up right now, but I don't think LFY know it. They're going to realize now, perhaps, as they go on the Abaddon, and there is no answer coming in whatsoever. They're going to completely ignore him during his ultimate. The Lincoln Sphere has been popped. They're going to drop the Chaotic Offering. Phantom Lancer actually taking some pretty big damage, but they will pop the Guardian Angel, and he retreats back up onto the high ground. Omni Knight also on the retreat. Abaddon low on life, but they're continuing pursuit. Phantom Lancer just able to keep on running. There's no lockdown. Shadow Fiend also taking some damage in the midst of all of this. The upheaval is going to split up the fight somewhat and make it a bit more difficult for LFY to re-engage, but Ember Spirit is going to commit very, very heavily. Almost gets brought down. A couple more auto attacks are going to do it. He overcommitted the Purification, unable to keep him alive. And Super, that could have been a huge mistake. Omni Knight also going to get auto attack down. The Metamorphosis just chunking away at them. Ember Spirit's going to buy back. Freezing Field, dropping them all low. Sunder from the Terrorblade onto his ally, the Warlock, will actually keep him alive just that little bit longer. We're still lagging because of all of the illusions, and now they're going toe-to-toe. It's Terrorblade versus the Phantom Lancer. He's being rooted up. Can they finish him off? The illusions are fading. He's still alive. 74 health. They will finally finish him off with the Sleight of Fist. They lose the Crystal Maiden. Afu's on a sliver of health off to the side. The Shadow Fiend, his first life has already been expended, but he is back up and still in fighting shape. Phantom Lancer's going to be forced to go back and defend, as they did end up losing the ranged racks while this was going on. How am I supposed to... This is insane. The sheer number of illusions is going to make every single team fight lag. Reconnecting, I don't think is going to do anything. It's a network code problem. Alright, we're going to have a quick pause. SF's just going to be buying a butterfly, but I think that was progress for Vici.J, because now the Ember Spirit gets his farm set back. He doesn't have buyback for a while. That one move from Super could actually be the opportunity that Vici.J need to swoop in and just get megas. Because if they win a team fight in a, like, if they 4-1 a team fight or something like that, your base is gone. It's all gone. If 2 out of 3 of the TB, Shadow Fiend, and Abaddon are alive at the end of the fight, I think your base just disappears. So they're going to have to be very careful about how they do this. Probably try and take fights outside of the base as best they can. Actually, I don't know. I guess defending the base is fine because they have so much spam. But yeah, this buyback is going to be scary. And Roshan's going to come back up. Oh, not for a while, actually. Alright. What does TB get? He's still going for Scotty. I still think... it's a tough question. Is BKB that good? I also feel like he wants the 30-second Sunder cooldown, but whether or not he's ever going to have the mana for it is another question entirely. This could become a pretty scary game if Shadow Fiend goes for like a Bloodthorn. They don't really have that many ways to dispel it right now, and it messes up the Phantom Lancer and the Ember Spirit pretty badly. They do have ways to itemize against it, but even just the Orchid, yeah, there you go. Yeah, freezes on my wavelength. I think it's just a smart item in this game. He's got a bunch of other right clickers on his team as well, so he's giving them crit by going Bloodthorn. Alright, so Orchid's on its way out. Roshan's on its way up. This buyback cooldown is on its way. And it's time to split push. That has to be the game plan for LFY for at least the next 5 minutes. And then after that, we'll see. Fenrir quickly looking at the minimap, wondering if his Terrorblade or something can get over here to take that illusion, but he's just going to take it himself. Do a little bit of scouting with it instead. Deny the bounty rune, maybe? No. Ember is going for a Shiva's. Definitely a very nice item in this game. Given that the only real damage from Team Dire is a whole bunch of right click. And just going to be a 3-man smoke right now. Are they buying any BOTs? Not just yet. I still feel like the BOTs are the missing ingredient here. Oh, Crystal Maiden gonna reveal this. Should get lifted. Link ahead, Force Staff away. There's the lift. There's some auto attacks. And there's a dead Crystal Maiden. Monet also needing to be careful. Cannot afford to fall for save a buddy Sidro here. Just needs to get out, keep himself alive. Keep spamming the high ground to defend. Wow, actually Gem hits the deck. They did they not even see that when they killed her? Alright. Oh my god, that sucks for LFY. So now they're that's actually huge. If you have no wards and you have no vision, you can't split push. If you have a single ward on the map and you see somebody from the enemy team like anywhere on the opposite side, all of a sudden you feel that much more safe to split push. But if you have no vision at all, it becomes very difficult. I feel like the bounty needs to be scouting right now. I guess it's tough against the Gem, but they need to give him. He needs to give information to his Ember and his Phantom Lance so that they can actually push out these lanes. Because the difference between having wards and not is having to stop your split push here versus having to stop your split push here, and that's a pretty big deal. It's like almost an entire wave, and just helps keep the enemy team that much more contained. So losing that Gem it's a blow, that's for sure. Alright, TB still farming up. SF still in that #1 net worth spot. Getting closer and closer to his Bloodthorn. I got, oh my god, let's not get Lotus Orb involved here as well, guys. That's What percentage are reflection illusions? 100%. Alright. Roshan potentially up in 20 seconds time. Vici.J simultaneously pushing 2 different lanes to try and break out of this split push stranglehold, and Ember jumping forward and then jumping all the way over towards top. Using a bunch of remnants to do so, but continuing to stall for his team right now, as it looks like Vici.J for the most part probably just heading up for Roche. There is a ping from Fender. Is that an instant Roshan respawn? Nah, man, that's just no luck for LFY this game. Alright, so SF's gonna deal with bottom. Doesn't have BOTs just yet. They are gonna scout the fact that Roche is up. They're smoking outside of their base as they look to push out top lane, but won't be able to jump anybody before Vici.J are able to put their team back together. Mid lane's getting pushed in, so it's gonna make this smoke pretty suspicious pretty soon. They do spot the Abaddon. TB going back for an illusion rune. Alright. So they're going to force the Ember bottom with the creep wave, and then they're going to head to Roche. The Ember does at least, I think he has a remnant out. Yeah, he's got a remnant out ready to head over to the pit. So this is the best that they can do with the pressure that's being applied to still contest this Roshan fight. They got the PL on the front lines with the Omni Knight not too far behind, ready to back him up with the Force Staff or the Lincoln Sphere. Definitely just there to enable the Phantom Lancer this game as much as possible. Jump in, they get the lift. It's onto the Phantom Lancer. Can they bring him down? He doppelgangers a little bit further away. There's illusions everywhere. They get popped by the reflection. Metamorphosis has been used. Terrorblade just going to try and stand his ground here. Are they going to be forced over into the Roshan pit? It looks like they might be. A little bit of poke happening as well from the Ember. This is what happens when 2 teams with no initiation battle up against one another. Looks like the initiation from Vici.J is actually just going to be running into the Roshan pit. It's dropping very quickly. There's a Bloodthorn on the Shadow Fiend. And he picks up the Aegis now. Ember Spirit with the Repel, trying to make his way forward, but it's just a bit of harassment onto the Abaddon. Terrorblade goes in very, very deep, gets the slow onto the Ember. He's pretty tanky. They've got the Solar Crest for him as well, as he will get Force Staffed up onto the high ground. The chase continues. FY looking for this. Needs to pop the Lincolns before he can go for the lift or the Yules, but will just get chained. He's going to end up Yulesing himself, and Ember just going to switch back over to the middle lane. Alright, what's the plan here for Vici.J? Do they just, is it mid to bottom? I guess they wait for the Metamorphosis, maybe? They do still have the Chaotic Offering. And Shadow Fiend is really the one who's hitting the buildings. Nope. The way that this is playing out is so interesting because Vici don't even really get punished that hard for cutting the waves near the Radiant base. But the same is true on the other side. You know, Super doesn't get punished that hard for cutting waves right near the Dire base. So we could actually just end up seeing a situation. Oh, Bouncy Hunter gets caught. All right, gem from that stolen gem coming in pretty big there. Bouncy Hunter down. And that, again, that's a big source of their vision, dead for a little while, though. They are about to get a little more information here off of the mid wave. But this is what Super's perspective looks like right now. They catch a glimpse of the Terrorblade running over, but could be a Manta illusion as far as they know. Though he will force staff himself up under the high ground. But yeah, the split push could get kind of zany this game. Abaddon going to be going for a Hex. Alright, so they are building up some more lockdown. I'd very much like to see an Abyssal Blade on the Phantom Lancer at some point this game, but he's just going to continue statting up for the time being, it looks like. What else? Shadow Fiend just going for a Satanic is going to be walking around with that Morbid Mask in his inventory, just in case he needs to take a second near some neutrals to go and heal back up. And the split push will continue. Will this game go for over an hour like the previous one did? You know, it could very well happen. But yeah, more waves being cut, more random scouting, just hoping to find a hero in this ocean of fog that is the middle of the map. Fortunately for Vici, they still have their shrines, so that helps them also exert a little bit more control over their side of the map, whereas LFY, you know, closest building that they have is all the way back at their base. And alright, TB has picked up some boots of travel, so it looks like TB is the designated stop the split push guy. I don't know if that's his real job, but yeah, he's going to be the one dealing with the non-stop TP aggression, and then still going to be ready to join his team when required. Throws out a reflection, but that's going to be about it for bottom, since he doesn't really see a whole lot of Radiant heroes right now, and for good reason. They're all smoking towards him. He is going to get rooted up. He does have the Manta to break this. Are they going to be going for him? Could Manta dodge that Lance, but just uses it afterwards. They got a bunch of Radiant heroes outside of their base. This is not where they want to be. Top lane's being pushed. Mid lane's being pushed. And that movement may have actually just cost them their lane position entirely. VG.J are going to be able to come down here, push this wave in, and get everything one step closer towards the enemy base. Yeah, that was some pretty risky business. They have wasted a little bit more of the Aegis time. There's only a minute remaining, but if they let their backdoor protection get disabled by this Terrorblade push on mid, then the Shadow Fiend might just be able to go and take bottom lane. Looks like they will instead just come over and back up their Terrorblade, top and back off as well. Rubik also going to be going for a Hex. All right, so they've grasped the fundamental problem, which is no lockdown, and they are starting to pull ahead in terms of net worth and experience with just superior map control. Another gem has to be coming up eventually, for soon-ish, for LFY. And that might be when they get a little bit more of an opportunity to move out of the base and take a bit of the farm that is on their side of the map. Right now it's just the Ember Spirit and the Phantom Lancer growing on this Radiant team. We do have the Eye of Scotty up. Some more illusion lag. All I can hope for is that PL or TB die really early in the fight, and then we might be okay. But if they're both alive, we are in big trouble. Alright, TB also going to be going for a Bloodthorn, so both of the big right clickers going for Bloodthorns for lockdown. All of the other three heroes looks like mostly just going for hexes. How's the Abaddon Hex coming along? It's actually got to be pretty close. Yeah, only about 500 gold to go. Alright. Aegis is gone. Shadow Fiend almost has the Satanic if he wants to buy it. After that, what? Probably buy some Boots of Travel, Boots of Travel 2, Moonshard. Buy a Moonshard for your buddy. Still plenty of options for him here. Omni just going to be going for a Lotus. This is full. I'm just going to enable the other two idiots on my team. SPL now going for a butterfly. I'm interested that he's leaning on his illusions as much as he is, because I feel like there could be some value in just going for a somewhat more single target build this game. Like if he gets a BKB and an Abyssal Blade, what can they really do about him? But with this build, I think he's very reliant on his illusions doing the work. At least the other team doesn't have any MKBs, so this butterfly is still going to be pretty value once he gets it. We'll have to be careful. Alright, looks like maybe another smoke coming up. Or everybody just grouping up for a second. Do they have that Abaddon Hex? Alright, it's going to get picked up right this second. They do have vision over this double damage as well. Yeah, looks like alright. They're going to make a beeline for that DD. TB ready with his Diffusal 2. Shadow Fiend, alright. Has just grabbed the Satanic. No buyback. No BOTs, but he does have a TP to go to this shrine, so they can get something done there. Omni Knight a pretty long way outside of the base here. But none of the... Looks like what, none of the lockdown is around? Maybe they didn't even see him. Ember in some trouble, gonna get lifted. They've got a Hex to follow it up. This should be a death for him unless he gets out of this. And he's actually tanky enough. Alright, never mind. They didn't rock it, but they will rock onto the Omni Knight. Can they chase him down? That's the question. He's repelled. He's pretty fast. Abaddon's still chasing. Phantom Lancer also going to get Yule's here. Do they have a lift? Not for 4 seconds time. Doppelganger is going to get him a little bit further away. Ember has still not taken the time to heal up. And the Metamorphosis Terrorblade is just charging forward. He still has a cheese ready to use. That Phantom Lancer Eggs is just wreaking havoc. Both on Vici.J and on my frame rates. Is this Metamorphosis going to be wasted? Half of the duration already gone. Ember's back to full HP. I really like the way that Vici.J are remembering to just take farm whenever they get stuck outside of the enemy base. Just helping to build up this net worth lead little by little. They are chasing out now. TB Illusion going to get nuked down, but looks like the real Terrorblade is going to get himself out unscathed. And Warlock is actually all the way over at bottom. The Chaotic Offering is on cooldown, so I suppose one of the big control factors for Vici.J is gone now. Or at least for the next little bit. Well, they're going to buy another Lotus Orb? Oh god. One team is buying control items, the other team is buying all the anti-control items. This game's going places, but I don't know if I like the kind of places that it's going. Roshan going to be back up in about 40 seconds time. Will that be enough to get another Chaotic Offering? Looks like it might not be. Just depending on how the split push ends up playing out. Terrorblade getting very, very close to his Bloodthorn. Is anybody really saving for buyback at the moment? Looks like in general, not really. Looks like Phantom Lancer is, but everybody else, I guess the Terrorblade also doing it. He could get his Bloodthorn if he wanted it.
This'll come in handy.
Bit of damage on the TB Illusion. I mean the Phantom Lancer Illusion. They're holding the high ground right now. Gonna spam out a few more lances perhaps. Not gonna bounce this one over onto his team. Need to deal with the spread right this second. Phantom Lancer Illusions on Phantom Lancer Illusions against Phantom Lancer Illusions. Those little bits of gold adding up somewhat, I suppose. Oh, Veil coming in. Phantom Lancer keen to make something happen. Is going to get hexed up. Doesn't really need the repel. Will just be able to run himself back. Doppelganger to disengage. Everybody disengaging. Chaotic Offering up in 1 second's time as we have a 5-on-5 mid standoff. No, this is not a 2K pub. This is Epicenter Moscow China qualifiers, but neither team remembering what lockdown is. They are just going to be able to doppelganger themselves a little bit further away. Omni Knight in a somewhat compromising position, but he heads up to the high ground. Ember Spirit deciding that he doesn't really need to be here. He's got a remnant. He's just going to go push some waves. Neither team is really making all that much progress butting heads right now. Afu just going to go grab some runes, maybe grab some bounties. He's got time. He's going to be working his way towards a Dagon 5, it looks like. As our Russian has respawned, so once again, it's going to be Vici.J picking that one up. Yet another cheese to add to their arsenal. Who have they found? They have actually managed to get the lift on over to the Bounty Hunter. Metamorphosis is going to be popped for that, and he is dropped. Ember Spirit also needs to be a little bit careful. His Lincolns is still active. The PL still poking and prodding and poking from the sides of the fight, but they are splitting up a little bit while Vici.J managing to stay together and fight as a unit. They need to be careful. They've got the reflection onto the Phantom Lancer. He's losing mana pretty quickly. Will Omniknight actually be able to keep him alive? It looks like maybe not. They pop the Guardian Angel. He doppelgangers himself a little bit further away, but the chase continues. The rappel is about to wear out. They've got the Hex one more time, and Phantom Lancer is going to be brought down. Vici.J just managing to force a wedge in the middle of this enemy team, and now Ember Spirit also in trouble. Does manage to Lotus off the Bloodthorn, but won't be able to stick around and fight for too much longer. As are they going to go back for the Roche, or do they try and force out this Phantom Lancer buyback? It looks like it will end up being the latter, as Terrorblade is going to take this as an opportunity to go and push out top lane. Alright, with that, looks like TB is grabbing his Bloodthorn bottom lane. Getting pressured by the Ember Spirit. Fenrir might actually die here. If he can get to his shrine, he's probably okay. Getting body blocked by his own creeps. Alright, Super will just get forced away. A little bit of chip damage on the tier 3, but that's all they can really accomplish for now. Meanwhile, Shadow Fiend going to be replacing those treads with some boots of travel. Still just sitting on the Hurricane Pike in his backpack. But we'll be able to swap that in before too long. Maybe he gets another Hex. I don't see why not. I think Hexes galore is the way to go. Rubik's not that far. Rubik only needs 900 gold to pick up a Scythe of Vice of his own, so. A nice little item for him. But does Abaddon maybe go for an Abyssal Blade as well? Couldn't be too bad. Bounty Hunter, I mean, he's trying to farm, but Afu has all of 7k net worth in a 52-minute game. Looks like we might be on track to break the hour mark once again. These unbalanced lineups. I guess a big part of both of these games is that neither team is picking the AoE stun offlaners. Like, I got Night Stalker and Abaddon, and now we got a Hex on the Ember Spirit, but he's gonna get Force Staffed and Lotus Orbed away. Oh, just too many illusions. Server, have mercy. We don't even need external people to DDoS because the game is just DDoSing. Alright, so what's Ember go for from here? Is the Veil a 6-slot item? I guess not. Are all the defensive items 6-slot items? Maybe. Does he ever transition into a physical damage build? Probably not. I guess Boots of Travel 2, maybe a Dagon 5 would be pretty sweet. Just try and pop these heroes. How are the BKBs looking actually? We still have a 7-second BKB on the Shadow Fiend. And does anyone else actually have a BKB this game? Nope, just the Shadow Fiend, so there you go. And that Butterfly that we've seen Phantom Lancer working towards for a little while is now picked up. He's going to queue up a Lincoln Sphere as his next selection. Top lane getting pushed in by SF. Playing it pretty safe. Does have his Boots of Travel ready to join his team down bottom. And not a whole lot to stop him from BKB TPing. So should feel fairly confident in his ability to push this out. There is a double damage over here. Alright. Scout that one. Terrorblade grabs it up. Hitting for 600 a pop. And that's without Metamorphosis. What's he going for? Moonshard next. Top lane's being pushed in. Super's going to do his best to shove that one back out, but Vici.J, can they push the high ground this time around? Let's see. Let's see. They might just commit. You know, maybe you just go in, you BKB, you hit the buildings. Ags bouncing around. They do have a glyph available. TB Illusion's going to go up and chip just a little bit. Metamorphosis is being popped. There's illusions everywhere. Phantom Lancer running forward, still pretty survivable. They've got the high ground. upheaval is going to slow them down, however, as Shadow Fiend is just sieging. He's going for the buildings, not focusing on heroes whatsoever until he sees somebody who's well and truly locked down. The PL illusion spam will continue, but Vici.J is still looking pretty survivable as they now turn their attention over towards the range racks. Terrorblade getting Lotus Orb, getting Frostbitten, getting Lotus Orb, getting Linkins. Does have his plus 15 all stats, so just that little bit tankier, still holding on to the Sunder. Might be looking to use it before too long as Vici.J will just retreat. Throws out the reflection, a little bit more lag, gets the Sunder onto the Ember Spirit somehow. Ultimate still being threatened by Fenrir, but no real commitment from LFY as they just back themselves up as they continue pressing forward, but only chipping, only poking, never fully committing. They will pass the cheese over to the Shadow Fiend, but looks like he's going to be okay without it. And that high ground siege will be very effective. Range racks almost dropped, tier 3 down, and looks like all the spam in the world is not enough to keep this Vici.J lineup outside of your base. 2k the net worth lead, 1k the experience, not 1k, 10k the experience lead. Is anyone, what's the plan? Do you just like buy a Blink Hex on your Omni, or your Bounty Hunter maybe?
This'll come in handy.
Maybe oh no, Ember Spirit, he's been caught out. Oh, is he dead? No, yeah, alright, he dispelled the Bloodthorn and he's alive. Never mind. Nicely played by Super. Did he even have buyback? Probably yes. Yes, he definitely did. I wonder if Abaddon gets a blink. Maybe. FY is... I guess it was FY setting up that one. Did not catch the attempt. Phantom Lancer going to come in and spam a little bit once again, but... Oh, he's going to get hexed up. There are 3 heroes here. They are going to be able to back him up. Also, the Bounty Hunter making his way over. The Ember TPing in. Who are they focusing on? It is the Abaddon, but he's got a cheese, and he's got his ultimate, so it's not a huge deal as Vici.J will retreat back up into the high ground. Rubik getting caught out over in the sideline. They will drop the rock on top of the Ember. Can they focus him down? That's the question. He's being lifted up, but he will manage to jump a little bit further away. The Guardian Angel's been popped. Terrorblade still pressing forward, however, wants his kill on the Omni Knight, and the formation from LFY is breaking. They're trying to retreat, but they're being hexed and slowed, and just... I mean, what else? What else do we have? We got more illusions on illusions, but Terrorblade is still not going down. He gets the silence onto the Phantom Lancer. He will be able to Manta it at the last moment. It looks like he might get brought down anyway by the reflection illusion. It's a triple kill for the Terrorblade. DDC still trying to escape as well. Ember Spirit now jumping back over to the mid lane, but Terrorblade is waiting for him, and he doesn't have anything left in the tank. It's one last remnant, but that's it. Ultra kill for Terrorblade. One buyback will be forced immediately from the Phantom Lancer just to try and push this out, but it looks like... Alright, TB needs to go and take a second to heal himself back up, but he's got the Boots of Travel 2 ready to join his team in this bot lane push, and I don't think they're going to leave a single buyback standing. Let's see. Is there a glyph available? Yes, there is. The TPs are coming in. Shadow Fiend on the front lines. Everybody else backing them up. If they lose either of the Phantom Lancer or the Ember Spirit, that's probably game over, and Monet needs to be careful. Is taking some damage off the Reflection Illusion, fortunately. They do still have the ranged racks alive, but that's only because they popped the glyph. And with those buybacks used, will Vici.J consider just waiting for Roche? Wait for the Chaotic Offering. They're not really in much of a rush, and with both of the Ember and Phantom Lancer buybacks on cooldown, they can't split push the way that they would like. I guess they have to, but if one of them gets picked off, that's just game. Ember just going to be going for a Radiance now. Oh, big smoke. FY senses the opportunity. He's got the Blink, Pop, Hex, and he's got the Lift as well. That should be more than enough lockdown to kill this Ember. And they're also TPing more heroes in. It's just all on FY to get the jump. The Remnant isn't even thrown that far back, and he jumps to the secondary Remnant. He doesn't have... He's only got one left, but he's already been hexed up. He's been Bloodthorn, and he's dead. 2 minutes down. Boots of Travel. Do they even need them? Should just be able to push the top lane. Phantom Lancer going to do his best to keep bottom lane out, but... 100 seconds to go. Terrorblade was backing up a little bit to maybe go and grab an item, but looks like instead they're just going to go for it. No glyph, and these buildings have no hope. They might be left with their bottom lane of racks, but PL realizing that he just has to go in, tries for the Rubik, but the Hex is already out. The lift duration getting wasted a little bit, but they've got a secondary Hex as follow-up. Phantom Lancer dropping very quickly. The Guardian Angel helps to keep him alive, but they know that if they get this kill, then that's all. It's all over. Phantom Lancer up on the high ground. A very awkward situation for him as he will be finished off, and the GG gets called. LFY, they won game 1 in convincing fashion. They had a 50k lead in game 2, but in the end it will be Vici.J advancing forward here in the Epicenter Moscow China qualifiers, and they're going to be facing Newbee. I don't know if that's tomorrow, but they are going to be facing Newbee a little bit later on in the upper bracket. Oh man, it probably is tomorrow if I had to guess, or maybe we're playing the other side of the. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on the schedule, guys, but Vici.J versus Newbee should be a hype match. Definitely make sure that you tune in for that one. I hope you guys enjoyed the coverage today. I definitely had a great time casting for you, so thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to tune in for more Epicenter action. I think it's